do. Da, 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 da. Da, da. It says notify me when I'm starting. I have started. Oh, it says live now. That might be me. I reckon if I click here on my PC, I might be able to hear myself. When I'm starting, I have started. Oh, it says live now. Yeah, that's me, isn't it? I can hear myself. Hello. Welcome to the entire world. It says no people are watching. Well, welcome to the entire world anyway. You're all welcome to it.
I'm watching.
Sarah's here. She's watching. Secrets of Strixhaven. Magic Puzzle Quest. That's what we're interested in, isn't it? This is the new set. How long has it been, you ask, since the last set came out? Well, Trial of the Plains, which I don't think I played a lot of. I might have played a little bit here and there, but I don't think I played a lot of it. So there might be a few in there from Trial of the Plains, but mostly that's not including Trial of the Plains. So if you were playing Trial of the Plains, you might have got a few more than that. I also personally got a few more, about 750 in fact, from playing Battles from the Ages. So actually the total number of jewels I got over the lifetime of the set was 2,644. When you factor in the extra jewels that I got from Battles from the Ages, which is not something that everybody plays. And of course you have to spend crystals to get those jewels. So if you're playing all of the daily events, but not the ones that sap you crystals to generate extra jewels, that's Trial of the Plains, Battle from the Ages, I think you can expect to get somewhere in the region of about 2,000 jewels. Maybe a bit less. I am in a top 10 coalition, of course. Well, you don't play every day, do you? That's why you don't get 2,000. Actually, you do. You play Trial of the Plains a lot. Sarah plays Trial of the Plains a lot. You didn't get too... Well, that's probably because you've spent all of them on things. No, you just didn't think you got that many.
No, I got about half that.
You got about half
I'm
that.
not in a top 10 coalition.
I mean, I'd have to look at the numbers. We'll move on to crystals. In fact, let's move on to crystals now so I can talk about that. I made about... You can expect to make about 1,000 crystals a week. If you want to play everything, you can expect to earn about 1,000 crystals a week. And the fact that I'm in a top 10 coalition doesn't make a big difference to that, to be perfectly honest. I'm getting about 1,000 crystals a week, and I might get 100 from a coalition event. I might get more like 50 from a coalition event. You're still getting... No, hang on, though. She's nodding away, saying, well, nobody else can expect to get that much. If I'm getting 1,000 crystals a week, and you're not in my coalition, you can still earn 900 of those. Yeah, you can.
I'm looking it up now.
Okay.
You are wrong.
Okay. But if you play all of your training grounds... I don't even play all of the training grounds, to be honest. If you play all of the daily events, yeah, you probably make more than that, because I've not been playing training grounds a lot. If you play all of the non-daily weekday events, and then of course there's story mode, there's a bunch of crystals in there. You get a bunch from the reward calendar for signing in every day. Yeah, I think even if you're not in a top 10 coalition, I think you can be definitely aiming for about 900 crystals every week.
No, it's about half that, darling.
It really isn't. It really
I'm happy
isn't.
to show you.
Okay. What am I looking at here? Sarah's showing me some numbers to tell me how wrong I am about this. 1 to 2. For the greatest strategist.
Yeah, I've just picked one at random.
Right. We're talking about two different things. What I said was, if you listen to me, what I said was I make about 1,000 crystals in a week. Right? And I get about 100 of those from that coalition event. So I'm making 1,000. Yeah?
Oh, crystals. I thought
crystals.
We were talking about jewels.
That's why I'd moved on to crystals, you see. I can't speak to jewels. I really don't know. I haven't done the maths to work out what a percentage of my jewels I'm getting from coalition events, because it's probably a lot bigger. There's a lot of weekday non-coalition events that don't even have any jewels. Things like emergency ordinances, or Trial of Ambition, they don't even have any jewels in them. And Training Grounds, of course, doesn't have any jewels. And you've got to, if you want those jewels from Trial of the Plains, of course, you've got to spend crystals getting those. So I couldn't really tell you, what percentage of my jewels that I'm getting from my coalition events. But as I say, I can tell you, I reckon I'm getting about 1,000 crystals in a week. And I think you out there, if you're not playing a coalition event, you can definitely be expecting to get about 900 if you are playing everything. Again, maybe a little less if you're not capable of coming top in, you might get one of these difficult coalition events in a week, like Scotty Bloodlines or like Seize the Day. You might not come top in that. That'll reduce it a little bit. I don't play Trial of Ambition, Emergency Ordinances, all of those types of events. I don't play all those all the way through to completion. I just get all of the crystals out of the reward ladder, the progression ladder, sorry. And then I just stopped playing it. So I'm playing about 12, 14 games, I think, of things like Trial of Ambition, just to get the jewels out. So I'm not coming first in those events. But I am trying to come first in things like Scotty Bloodlines, in things like Seize the Day. And some players are going to have a bit more difficulty than that. But you'll get the vast majority of your crystals from things like your Training Grounds, from things like your Creatures of Magic, and your Mana Burns. Do they have? Because Mana Burn even have crystals in it. I don't even know if it does. For things like your Planar Chaos and things like just signing into your reward calendar. What I'm saying is, if we finally get to the point that I wanted to be making, really, is that with such a short life cycle on the set, you really don't have a lot of time to be earning stuff. I don't feel like I've had a lot of time to be earning stuff. So I've made, as I say, with my grinding away at Battles from the Ages, I made 2,644 jewels over the previous life cycle of the set. That is, how many pulls of that is from an elite pack? At 400. That's 6, isn't it? 6.5 pulls from an elite pack. That's not even a whole elite pack, that. So it's getting quite hard to get hold of all the cards you want to. Even for people like me. I'm playing everything all the time. So I have started, I've not been playing Battles from the Ages for, I don't know, a good 6 months or so. I have started again. This is, when did we last have it? A couple of weeks ago, I think. 21st. We last had Battles from the Ages. So I just thought, I'm going to start grinding away at that. I think it's more important at the moment, if you want to be keeping up with the good cards at the moment. Oh, and there are some good cards in the elite packs in this set. We will be getting to that. Play as much as you can. Get all of the jewels that you can. And you probably ought to be converting some of your crystals into jewels as well. You probably shouldn't be spending crystals on things like bad planeswalkers. Luckily, all the planeswalkers look really terrible in this set. You probably shouldn't be spending crystals on premium packs. At least not many. I don't know. 6 weeks is not long, is it? Should we go and have a look and see how many commons and uncommons I don't have from the last set? Let's go and have a look. Let's go into the cards. So I bought, I believe, no premium packs from the last 2 sets. Oh, actually, the easiest way to do that is to go into the crafting, isn't it? That'll tell us. So Eventide. Oh yeah, look at that. 7. I still don't have 7 commons from Eventide. And 2 from Morningtide. That's honestly quite a lot. By the time the new set rolls round, I would generally expect to have almost all the commons. But yeah, look at that. 7 commons, 6 uncommons, and obviously tons of rares. So once we start getting up to the rares, and especially the mythics, I've only really got the things that I've specifically targeted to go after. But to have that many commons and uncommons missing, that's slightly concerning. So, you know, I might end up buying just a few premium packs just to fill in those numbers a little bit when a new set comes out. I'll see, because one thing I did notice is that while over the lifetime of the previous set, the total number of crystals I had in the bank went down. Sorry, the total number of jewels I had in the bank went down, and that is because I wanted to spend a bunch of them on the color identity lands, which I got, but it did mean that the amount that I had in the bank went down. The amount of crystals on the other hand went up quite a lot. What's this? 19,942. That's how much I had when I started Morning Tide. Then when Strixhaven come out, I've got 23,400. And I've been doing silly things like buying alt art cards with my bloody crystals. So yeah, jewels are at a bit of a premium at the moment. It's a bit difficult to get hold of those. You probably want to be grinding some to get hold of those. Crystals, on the other hand, so as I say, premium packs are not a particularly good return on investment, but what else are you going to spend them on? And they're kind of piling up. If you have a look at the top of my screen, 23,198 at the moment. They're kind of piling up, so I might end up. I'm certainly going to be buy just a few. I'm not going to be doing the thing I might have done in the olden days of buying 10 premium packs, but I might start doing a thing where I'll buy, I don't know, 3 or 4 premium packs just to fill in some of the commons and uncommons, because of course with the commons and uncommons, you need those to be opening your non-duplicate packs. Have I waffled on enough about this? I think I probably have. It's not long. The life cycle of a set is not long now. We can't do 6 weeks, can we? We can't do 6 weeks all year, because that would be like 52 weeks. What's that? 8 sets. We're not getting 8 sets this year, but we're getting a lot. So they're just going to keep coming out, and I don't know. Is that a concern? We certainly had somebody quit Goblin Pile because they've decided they can't keep up with the rate that cards are coming out at the moment. So I don't know if people are feeling that all over the game, or whether I'm just feeling that personally because it's my bud. Bye, Matthew. We will miss you. Sorry. Come back anytime, obviously. I don't know if the players are generally feeling that there's just too many cards coming out. Because, of course, this is kind of mirroring what's happening in paper. There's a lot of cards coming out in paper. Wizards are kind of taking this attitude at the moment of, well, nobody's really supposed to own all the cards anyway, which is a bit of a new attitude to be taking. As well, we don't get any of that business. We just get your basic standard sets coming out. Obviously, we're getting different standard sets from paper because we're not getting all of the Universes Beyond tie-ins. But yes, punishing release schedule. And it's going to keep up for a while. Do a bit of grinding. Or, you know, quit. One of the two. I'm going to be doing a bit of grinding, is what I'm saying. Shall we have a look at the actual set? Let's move on to the set and have a look at the actual set. New set, blah, 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 blah. Open your books, everyone. New mechanics. Now, they started spoiling the mechanics. They started off with Paradigm, didn't they? Or did they start with Prepare or Paradigm? Can't quite remember. But Paradigm certainly seemed very strong. And was a very good start to the spoilers, but as the new mechanics have been going along, they've been getting rather more mundane. Let's go through them in order anyway. We've got Prepare here. Oops, what happened to my screen? It scrolled off the top. creatures enter the battlefield prepared. Only creatures who have prepare can become prepared, and will have a corresponding trigger that makes them become prepared. This is probably easy to get your head around if we actually have a look at a prepared card. So let's head off down into the Elite Pack. Now, I've heard some people off in Goz's server say that this is a bit like having an extra card in your deck. I don't really see it like that. Where are we going to? Strixhaven. I'm sure we'll find a prepared card in here. This is one that I've got already. Here we go. So this is a creature, and it's capable of casting the card Lightning Bolt, which is a card that we've seen before. It's in Jumpstart, apparently. I didn't remember it. I thought they'd invented it new for the set, but apparently it's from Jumpstart. And what happens is you play this creature. It doesn't necessarily become prepared straight away, also, although some creatures do become prepared straight away. But when they do become prepared, then they cast the spell. So with this one specifically, for example, when you cast your second card each turn, this creature becomes prepared. And then as soon as that happens, Lightning Bolt fires off and goes boom, deals 3 damage to something. That's not particularly exciting, is it? Or gets rid of 3 shields on a Vanguard. But, you know, on the other hand, is there another... Oh, this isn't particularly exciting. I was hoping to find the one with Ancestral Recall here. That's a slightly more exciting version. But again, this is a creature. It casts Swords to Plowshares, but it doesn't just do it necessarily when you play the card. Again, with this one, it can only become prepared at the end of your turn if you have less creatures than your opponent. But if you do, then it becomes prepared. Pow! It plays a nice cheap removal spell. And you're not paying the mana for that spell. It just happens. So yeah, I don't really see this as like the ability to put a creature in your deck and also an 11th card, an 11th spell, really. Because if you're looking at it like that, you're kind of saying to yourself, well, look, I'm putting 9 cards in the deck. Then I put this Emeritus in. That's a 12 mana 2/2. That's all that is. And then I'm putting 11th card in the deck, and that's the burn spell. And that's pretty terrible, isn't it? When you put it like that, if you put 2 of the cards that you're putting in your deck, one of them's a 12 mana 2/2 that doesn't do anything, and the other one's a burn spell. It seems pretty terrible, actually. So I prefer to think of it as, yeah, a creature that does something, you know? The spell doesn't really feel to me like an extra card that's being produced that goes into your deck. It just feels to me like an effect that is on this card. So that's very much how we're going to treat them. I really don't know if the spells that get produced, if there's any way that these spells can end up in your graveyard or in your library or in your hand. Creatures with prepare. Prepared spells can't be copied. After it's cast, the spell is removed from the game. I mean, I assume that means it doesn't go into your exile. Like, removed from the game is a term that kind of means something to me as an old paper player, because removed from the game used to be what they called exile. But I think exile and removed from the game might, in this day and age, mean 2 completely different things. Anyway, that's prepared. It's simpler than I'm probably making it. We will address the individual cards with prepared when we get to them in the set review. Let's move on to the next mechanic. Paradigm. This is very powerful. This is the exciting one, to be honest. And by exciting, I mean terrifying. And by terrifying, I mean exciting. When Knowledge Emblem and is exiled. At the beginning of your turn, if there's a card with a Knowledge Emblem in your exile, the Paradigm effect is triggered. Each card in your exile with a different Paradigm effect triggers separately, but only once per different card per name. Do you know what? Maybe it'd be a good idea to go and look at... Where's the rubbish one? Here's the rubbish one. So this is a Paradigm card. And it's easy to kind of understand this when we're looking at what it's doing, okay? So you play this spell, and it immediately gives all your creatures +2/+2. Yeah? And then it goes off into your exile when you cast it. That's the Paradigm effect. And then at the start of every turn from then on, it gives you creatures +2/+2. Yeah, so it's like you cast the spell once, and then every turn going forwards in the game, you cast it again. Now you can only have one. This effect can only trigger once for each differently named paradigm spell in your exile. So you can't play a bunch of these germination practicums and expect your creatures to get +10/+10. No, they're only going to get +2/+2 every turn. But you can play this green one and say, for example, this white one, and both the green one and the white one would trigger their paradigm at the start of every turn. So they are a little bit like supports. They're a little bit like supports that just trigger at the start of your turn, like, you know, like you would expect a conversion land to, only they kind of can't be got rid of. Because this spell, this germination one here, I cast it, it goes into my exile, it casts every turn. How are you going to get it out of my exile? Are there any ways in Standard to get cards out of exile? Are there any ways in Legacy to get cards out of exile? I can't think of any off the top of my head. They're certainly not a lot of them, if any at all. They might have printed some in the new set. We don't know. But yeah, it's not too bad when the only thing that this effect is doing is giving your creatures +2/+2 every single turn in an unstoppable way. That doesn't seem too bad. But there are other paradigms that do more powerful things. So I think they're going to be ones to watch out for, actually. Again, we'll move on to those a bit later, but let's just move on with the effects and talk about the good paradigm cards when we get to them. Repartee. So paradigm, yeah, sorry. Paradigm is kind of interesting because it's very powerful and it's very difficult to stop. And now I think we just move up onto all of the normal kind of web core kind of mechanics. That the repartee effects trigger. Repartee triggers once per spell, not based on the number of cards it's targeting. So it's kind of a more powerful version of heroic. Heroic used to trigger on a creature when you target it with a targeted effect. And it's kind of a much more expansive version of that. It reminds me of, I suppose, a bit about committing a crime in what was it? Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Things. This is the real problem with repartee. Because creatures that have something like Magecraft, you know, you're getting an extra effect, not only when you just cast a spell, but when you cast a spell that's big enough. So apparently the Opus has a cost. I thought Opus was just a particular... Oh, but in paper it is, yeah. I suppose in paper it's when you cast a very big spell that costs 5 mana. But I suppose they've changed that to having a specific value in this game. I thought they'd set it at 13 for some reason. But maybe not. We'll see what that's like when we get to the cards. Increment is a numbered evergreen. If a card is played with a cost higher than the current increment value, that card gets +1/+1. The increment value increases by 1. I mean, we don't really like cards that only get bigger at +1/+1, do we? I mean, that's kind of too small a rate for things to increase. It does look like this is a permanent effect. Card gets +1/+1. No sign of an until end of turn. But having to do a lot of things to, you know, give a card +4/+4, +5/+5, it's just a bit slow and a bit grindy, and we don't really like it. It's certainly not going to be good enough for things like Planar Chaos, for making nice big fat creatures, for getting through that 300, 400 life you often have to do. Increment has a starter value on the card. For increment to trigger, the cost must be higher. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Infusion. Some triggered abilities have infusion. Infusion checks if you gain life this turn to activate their abilities. Okay, that's fairly clean, isn't it? If you gain life this turn and then lose it, infusion will still trigger. Yeah, that's fairly clean. New Planeswalkers. Now, I imagine a lot of us will have played with all of these Planeswalkers already in the new event, which was pretty crap, wasn't it? Wasn't it pretty crap? didn't it make you think all the Planeswalkers were pretty crap as well? I was kind of expecting it to be another Lorwyn 5. It was not that bad. The new event was not as bad as the Lorwyn 5. It still seemed pretty bad though. And it definitely didn't inspire me to get any of the new Planeswalkers. Most of them only have 2 abilities, and I really have no idea why they would do that. I mean, they have given them a passive ability. So a lot of these people have 2 abilities. You can see here we've got a passive ability there at the top of the screen, ability 1, ability 2, no third ability. You could call that 3 abilities. Three abilities, does it? Because, I mean, everyone else who has a passive ability in the game, like Grist, and like most of those old monos that have a passive abilities, like Pajami, they have 3 abilities and a passive ability, don't they? So it just feels a bit lazy, honestly, giving these Planeswalkers just the 2 abilities. And these, presumably, these are Planeswalkers that they've created, right? Because they don't make 5 Planeswalkers every set these days in paper, do they? These must be legendary creatures in paper, because that's how they do things now, because they want to make legendary creatures for Commander. And they've scaled back on the number of the Planeswalkers. So Webcore will have turned these legendary creatures into Planeswalkers. So it really is baffling to me. It just makes them, all of them, seem shit. It really means that I'm not going to buy any of them. And so, you know, the long continuing trend of the Planeswalkers that are being released that just aren't worth buying. I think we're still going back to a Minotaur as the last Planeswalker who was worth buying. I did get the Reaper King, mostly just to have a Planeswalker I'd play broken combo decks in 5 colours in single colour nodes. But yeah, I don't think the Reaper King is a particularly good Planeswalker. He just has that useful ability of being 5 colours in any colour of node. Let's have a look at Simone anyway. What have we got? Hit points 103, that's not good. Mana bonuses +1, +3, +5. Okay, that seems different, doesn't it? 4 creatures, yeah, whatever. Infinite creativity. When you cast your first card with level in your turn. Oh, dear me. Level. Yeah, there are going to be a lot of level cards in this set, I think. And, well, I've made very clear my thoughts on level in the past. Generally, all cards with level seem to be too low power. There's no reason why they should inherently be too low power. We do have cards like Another Round with level that are pretty powerful. But there's something about the mechanic that makes Webcore design them to be very low power. So the fact that this set is doubling down on them is a little disturbing to me. When you cast your first card with level, all fractal creatures you control get +2/+2. It's kind of crap, isn't it? Ability 1 cost 8. Create a fractal token. I mean, presumably these are going to be the only fractal tokens that you get, yeah? I don't know if we're going to find fractal creatures in the set. I mean, who was it? Kasmina used to make those fractal supports, didn't she? Well, I don't remember any other fractal creatures or fractal things anywhere else in the game. So I think the only fractal creatures you're going to get are these things that you're producing here. Create a fractal token. It's a 1/1. Reduce the cost of the first 2 cards with level in your hand by 3. I mean, that might be my new least favourite sentence that's ever been written. Gain 4 mana. Okay, well, 4's not enough, is it? Remind me how much that gains for his first ability? Is it 15? It is 15, isn't it? But here we're gaining 4. We're creating a 1/1. We're reducing the cost of cards with level by an amount. So, I mean, you could say maybe that first card with level, it's like it's gaining 7 mana. Is that a lot? That's not a whole lot, is it? I mean, it's as much as Ral, but we've all moved on from Ral, who used to put 6 mana into a card with his first ability, to Dak, who puts 15 into a card with his first ability. Ability 2. Your fractal creatures gain First Strike and Vigilance. Right, nothing too exciting there. Nothing like Life Strink or Life Strink? where on earth did that come from? Like life link or double strike. No, first strike and vigilance. Convert X gems to green, X gems to blue. X is the number of cards with level in your go. They've really gone all in on level. And I level is shit, isn't it? I mean, another round, which is the only good level card I can actually think of, isn't even in blue and green, isn't it? So this is like having a very linear, parasitic mechanic for just the set, isn't it? We've seen things like this in the past with like planeswalkers that have energize effects on their abilities, and nobody plays those guys anymore. So Zimone, terrible. Let's have a look at Ruther. What do we got? 119 hit points. +1 +3 +1 +3, whatever. Yes, I mean, okay. I finally am on this train that everyone else has been on for a while. Everyone else has always really liked, you know, having 1 or 2 really high mana bonuses, and they don't really mind the fact that there are big minuses. They have some -2s. I've always been kind of into more flat mana bonuses. Something that looks a little bit more like this, actually, +1 +3 +1 +3. I never really liked the fact that, say, Nicol Bolas 2, for example, had 2 -2s in his set, because I just don't like the fact that when the board goes sour, and the board does go sour sometimes, you're just producing almost nothing. I mean, I wouldn't have particularly liked this set of mana bonuses anyway. I don't mind a minus. It's the 2 -2s on certain people that I never used to like in the past. I was more interested in, have a look at the mana bonuses on Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. I was more interested in that kind of slightly flatter, but certainly not, you know, 2 +8s and a couple of -2s. Do I mean +8? No, I mean +5. I'm sorry, I always get confused about the difference between the mana bonus and the amount of mana that gets produced, which is of course 3 higher than the mana bonus. But in this day and age, honestly, I'm kind of more on board with this idea of planeswalkers with, yeah, like Kasmina, like Ral, with 2 +8s, and then a bunch of really crappy mana bonuses. And it's mostly because I want to be playing more powerful cards in this day and age. I want to be getting up to my Golden Wish mana, you know? I want to be playing Tempt with Discovery. It's because the power of single removal cards that I used to like in the past, like Voidrend and Endless Detour, really kind of fell away when we started to get cards like Galter and planeswalkers like Grist. So instead I'm relying on much more expensive cards these days. And that leads me to gravitate more to planeswalkers with a +5 mana bonuses. So yeah, I think I probably agree. Most people are probably looking at this and saying +3 +3, that's really terrible. I think I'd probably agree with that the way Standard is at the moment. Passive ability, at the end of your turn, if you have 12 or more loyalty, create a canvas elemental. Is it going to tell us what that is? Yes, it's a 2/2 creature. If you have 12 or more loyalty, create a 2/2 creature. It could be a lot less than that, couldn't it? A lot less than 12, couldn't it? To create a creature. I mean, Pajami's creating 1/1s a lot more easily than that, isn't he? I know he doesn't all the time, but he certainly does at the start of the match, and that's the most important thing with Pajami, to be honest. Yeah, 12 loyalty seems a bit high. Ability 1, affects the first spell from your library. That card gains 5 mana. Yeah, compare and contrast with Dak Faden, anyone? Ability 2, oh, it's even more expensive. Look, it costs 7 to do that and get 5 mana rather than 15 mana. Ability 2, beating around the brush. The first canvas elemental creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains a basic random evergreen. Now, that's kind of assuming you want to go in on all canvas elementals, and why would you? Because they're pointless 2/2s. It's hard to get them out because you've got to get 12 loyalty. And you probably want to be using some of that loyalty to get some value from your other ability, like you would be if you were playing, say, Dak or Grist. You know? You don't want to have to sit on your loyalty when it gets up to 12. It's like starting with -12 loyalty. Then if that creature has 3 or more basic evergreens, destroy the first creature with the lowest mana value. The lowest mana value. Yeah, that's garbage. Well, let's move on. Killian. Decisive Mentor. What have we got? 191 hit points. That can't be right. No, 91 hit points. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. 191 hit points. We could have really talked about that. Because even if his abilities were a bit shite, 191 hit points is a real bump up. But no, it's 91. +2, +1, +2, +1, +1. Okay, garbage. Garbage mana bonuses. That's bloody Sarkhan 1, isn't it? Isn't he +2, +1, +2, +1, +1? I think so. Passive ability. At the beginning of your first turn, perform the following effects for each card beyond the second of each type in your library. Oh, okay. Right. So that's interesting then. So he starts off with all positive mana bonuses. And if they stayed where they are, it would be crap, but they're going to get bigger. This is kind of interesting, actually. Perform the following effects for each card beyond the second of each type of your library. Creature, increase your white mana bonus by 1. Spell, increase your black mana bonus by 1. Black? How about blue? I suppose he can't be doing that, can he? Because he's not actually a blue planeswalker. He's white and black. Support, increase your max life by 8. That is really interesting. What's that going to be in practice? So we're playing, in practice, we're probably going to be playing with 3 creatures. Maybe less. Maybe just 2 creatures. So your white mana bonus is going to be like +3, +4. Your black mana bonus, I mean, it depends. You know, you might be playing with a fairly even spread that I tend to play with at the moment is, you know, 3 creatures, 3 spells, 4 supports. Generally like supports because, you know, I wanted to say they're harder to get rid of, but they're not in this day and age, are they? You know, Grist is quite good at getting rid of supports, and Demolition Field especially is quite good at getting rid of supports. But I think in my coalition deck, I think that's the spread I have at the moment. 3, 3, 4. It's not particularly exciting. So I'd get an extra, if I were playing 4 supports in his deck, I'd get an extra 24 life. That would bump him up to 100 and there, which still isn't particularly impressive, is it? If you ended up playing tons and tons of spells, how many spells can you put in? Oh, you can only play with 6 spells anyway. Just thinking if you wanted to play some kind of combo deck with him, and why would you with a planeswalker who's not blue? It's all spells. But maybe you could put loads of spells in and increase his black mana bonus a lot. So you could play with 6 spells and get that mana bonus +5, which would be a total mana bonus of +7. It's really interesting. And it doesn't look particularly powerful, but it is really interesting what they've done there. Ability 1. Cost 10. The end of turn, when an enchantment enters the battlefield, disable a random opposing creature until end of turn. Fucking hell, that's terrible, isn't it? Then, there's more. Deal X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. That costs 10. When an enchantment enters the battlefield, takes advantage of enchantments being cast to deal damage. That's what he says. That's pretty bad, especially for 10. What have we got? Ability 2. Oh no, I remember this because of course I have played with all of these in the new PvE event that came along. Setup Perfecto. Until the beginning of your next turn. I mean, this looks quite good. It's got the word full mana in it. We always like that. Till the beginning of your next turn, when an opposing creature attacks, draw a card. That card gains full mana. I mean, that just seems to be kind of nothing wrong with that, does it? That's a really, really solid ability. Till the beginning of your next turn. So you have to wait until you're being attacked, but that's okay. You can just leave some of Greg's stuff on the battlefield, let him hit you a little bit, and you might get 1 or 2 cards, brand new cards as well, you're drawing them, and fill them full of mana. That's a nice ability. Unfortunately, you know, it's an expensive ability, and his ability 1 is just garbage. I think that's what's going to kill him. His ability 1 just being absolutely crap. I don't know. Let me know if you end up buying him out there and just using his second ability all the time and enjoying his supposedly high mana bonuses. I mean, I doubt it. Quintorius, History Chaser. Big shoes to fill. Quintorius Cand is carving out his own niche with his life-gaining abilities. What have we got? Hit points 135. This doesn't surprise me in the least. Passive ability. When a card leaves your graveyard. Oh, I remember that being quite powerful, actually, when I was playing it in the Strixhaven event. When a card leaves your graveyard, create an archaeological spirit token. Now, that is a 3/2 defender, which is kind of okay. So the Quintorius Cand 1, the Planeswalker we've already had in the past, his second ability produces 5 of those, doesn't it? So that effectively creates a 15-10 blocker on the table. For some reason my brain's trying to tell me it's 15-12, but that maths just wouldn't work right for that, would it? 15-10 blocker on the table, and I've used that at times. That's not what you go to Quintorius Cand 1 for. You pump his first ability, you kill with his third ability. But it's kind of a useful thing to have. Now, the deck that you get to play in the pre-constructed deck in that event that we were just talking about, that does have a lot of flashback cards in it. So you are making cards leave your graveyard, and you do end up creating a bunch of spirit tokens. This ability can trigger 4 times per turn. I just would question how many times in a constructed deck, when you're trying to do powerful things with powerful cards, how many times it's going to trigger then, you know? So you can either build into this by playing with a lot of flashback cards that are probably all going to be terrible, or you can just play with, you know, Golden Wish, which doesn't do that at all. That's the thing, isn't it? Is that in this game, traditionally, raw power is always much, much better than synergy. But we will see. Ability 1, Archaeological Anxiety. Discard the last 2 cards from your hand. Surveil 2, draw 2 cards. Those cards gain 4 mana. I mean, it's all good until you get to the 4 mana at the end, isn't it? And even it's not terrible. It's not the worst thing I've seen. But it's just not very good. 2 cards with 4 mana in them, or 15 mana, sorry, flowing into that first card in your hand. Or just 6 loyalty to just, bam, there's a creature, however big it is. It's just in play. That's what Grist does. So, yeah, it's low power. It probably shouldn't be. We probably should live in a world where that's not such a bad first ability. But we don't. Ability 2. Create 3 archaeological spirit tokens. Your spirit creatures gain double strike and vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. That's a bit strange. Then your spirit tokens gain prevent damage and berserker. Why is it written like that? I don't understand. So you create 3/2 defenders, then they get double strike and vigilance, and then they get prevent damage and berserker. Why is it written like that? I'm baffled. And why is it giving them vigilance when they already have defender? The whole thing makes no sense to me. It's like, well, you create some blockers, then you give some vigilance so that they don't block, but then you give them prevent damage so that they do block. I don't know. It's baffling to me how it's written. What do you actually end up with? You end up with a 9/6 blocker with double strike and prevent damage until end of turn. Okay, so not one. Oh, right, but I see. So it gets prevent damage and berserker. So the prevent damage works on the berserker effect, but they don't have haste. Oh, it just, wow. So you have to, you have to already have some of these archaeological spirit tokens already in play in order to take advantage of that prevent damage and berserker. Otherwise, it's just lost. Why not just give them haste? Why be fanning them around with the vigilance thing? Why not just give them haste? Anyway, it's an unreliable way of killing creatures, isn't it? Even with prevent damage and double strike and berserker, it still might not be big enough to kill your opponent's Gelters that you want to be getting rid of. It's okay. But for 16 loyalty, meh. No, I can't say I'm going to be buying this guy. As I say, Killian interests me, but I still don't think it's very powerful. Professor Delian Fell. What have we got here? 111 hit points. Ability 1, Discover About Life. Strixhaven event. What I noticed about his first ability and his second ability is they give you a lot of choices and all of them are like not very powerful. So ability 1, gain 8 life, cost 5, gain 8 life. If you have above 65 life, draw a card. If this is the first time you activated a loyalty ability this turn, you may activate your second loyalty ability this turn. So you're spending 5 on 8 life. If you have above 65 life, draw a card. That's kind of a problem though. You don't want your first ability to fail on you if you're losing the game. You know? This is the very definition of a win more ability, really, you know? Just gaining 8, if you're being pounded in the face, just gaining 8 life and not being able to draw a card is not really good enough, is it? Now they've added this thing here where you've spent 5 loyalty on this ability. You can then also spend 5 loyalty on ability 2, or you could just use ability 2 on its own. Cost 5, destroy target creature. You see, that's powerful, isn't it? 5 loyalty, destroy target creature. If you have below 65 life, lose 7 life, otherwise lose 15 life. So suddenly that makes it a bit worse. So straight from the off, if you're wanting to destroy target creature, you've got the low cost of 5 loyalty, but you are going to lose 15 life. And even if you're, late game and you're below 65 life, even then you're still going to lose 7 life. So you're thinking to yourself, well, if this is the first time you activated a loyalty ability this turn, you may activate your first loyalty ability as well. You're thinking to yourself, well, you can offset this life loss of the second ability by using your ability 1 in the first turn. But then all of a sudden that's effectively bumping the cost of the ability up to 10 loyalty. And 10 loyalty to destroy a single creature all of a sudden doesn't sound particularly good. So this is the thing, is you've got what look like quite cheap abilities, but the life loss is quite punishing. The gaining 8 life is really just kind of offsetting the life you get, the life you lose from ability 2. When you put it like that, spending 5 loyalty on it seems very, very expensive. We like drawing the card. We don't like the fact that you just don't do that if you don't have enough life. Now this guy's actually got an ability 3, unlike all of the other Planeswalkers we've seen here. We've got create 4 Lineae Vitae tokens. When you gain life, the opposing Planeswalker loses that much life. Interesting. Okay, so there's synergy there, obviously. But it's not like it comes out straight away. You've got to spend 20 loyalty on this thing. You've got to spend the 20 loyalty, and then you've got to pump your first ability again to gain 8 life, to make your opponent lose 8 life. I mean, there's going to be better synergies, obviously, with that ability 3 than your first ability. You're going to slap it in there with some kind of big life-laking thing or something. I don't know. When you gain life, the opposing Planeswalker loses that much life. This effect can trigger up to the card shield value. What? Is that all you get? Up to the card shield value. So when you gain life, so if I gain 8 life from his first ability, oh, I will be gaining 8 life because we're creating 4 tokens. I've got 2 shieldy. So, but it means you can't go above that limit unless you put even more linear vitae tokens down. Yeah, you're creating 4 of them, 2 shields each. So that's 1 support with 8 shields, basically. Oh, and at the end of each turn, this support loses 1 shield. It just gets worse and worse all the time, doesn't he? So, I mean, you can't do impressive combo things with that ability because it has this hard cap on it. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in any of these Planeswalkers, and I don't think you should be either, because my opinions are objectively correct. So don't buy any of those. I'm certainly not going to be buying any of those. What else have we got? This is the 5-colored showdown. This is the... Play this event, see how bad they all are, and then don't buy the Planeswalkers. I think it's like $100 to buy all of them in a big pack at the moment, isn't it? Blah, blah, blah. Changes and fixes. I don't see anything particularly interesting there. Right, that's that. It's not mentioned some of the other mechanics that we're having recurring in the set. These are all the new mechanics that we've got, but we will be coming across some old favourite. Yeah, I'm doing the thing with my fingers. Yeah, just Sarah, she can vouch for the fact that I'm doing the thing. Old favourites, because it's they're not very good, the mechanics that are coming back, but we'll see. But they've not mentioned that here, so I'll have to get to the actual cards. And let's go and do that now. Where are we? So we've been doing this for about an hour. That's not too bad, is it? Is that very long-winded? Maybe it is. You all know how to skip through videos, though. I'm sure you can skip through to about this point. I thought we'd start with the Elite Pack. Mostly because it's got 4 Paradigm cards. Now, I believe... Oh, I'm not in the right place to search for that. But I believe that there are only 5 Paradigm cards in the entire set, because that's the same as there were in paper. There's 1 for each colour. And they're big spells, and they're supposed to have big splashy effects. But, yeah, they're supposed to. And then there's this thing that, like, interacts with Paradigm cards. But there are only the 6 cards in the set that have the word Paradigm on them. And for some reason they've put 4 of the Paradigm cards into this Elite booster, and 2 of them are good, I would say. 2 of them are definitely unequivocally good, and you can see, in fact, if you look at the screen now, that I went chasing after the Echo Casting Symposium and the Restoration Seminar straight away. I've dropped a bunch of... I got quite lucky getting those ones early, so I bought 4 picks out of this booster. I managed to get those 2 cards that I was after. But I think these are going to be chase cards. I mean, I don't know how soon I'll get around to using them. I'm very happy with my Coalition deck. These are not the kind of cards you can just drop into a pre-existing deck. You probably have to do a little bit of building around these. Well, I certainly can't drop them into my pre-existing deck. But I think I would go as far as to describe them as chase cards. Let's see, should we do Brass Infiniscope last, because it's we want to talk about the Paradigm cards first. So, Iganjo Dinosaurian. This guy, okay, so when your second creature attacks, this creature becomes prepared. Not ideal for me. You know, I like to assume that I'm losing the game. I don't like to build my deck from the standpoint that assumes that I'm winning and that Greg hasn't blown up my creatures. I like to assume that he has kind of put some pressure on me, and I'm having difficulty keeping multiple creatures on the table. So the fact that in order to cast this spell, remember, it doesn't start prepared, it becomes prepared later on. In order to cast this creature, you have to attack with your second creature. That's a big downside for me. Let's see what Replenish does. Again, I honestly can't remember if we already have Replenish in the game or not. I think we might. Return all enchantment cards from all graveyards under your control. Presumably means into play under your control. I mean, that's what happens in paper, is replenish puts all of your enchantments into play. I think that's better than what it does in paper, because I don't think the paper version steals your opponent's enchantment cards and put them into play under your control. So all enchantment cards into play under your control. So naturally, we're all thinking about space-time anomaly at the moment, aren't we? That is the way to put a lot of cards into your graveyard at the moment. We could do with something else. I feel like we could do with something else. The problem with space-time anomalies is it's absolutely peerless. You know, it's a good card. It enables all of these strategies that are based around it. But I feel like we could really broaden out the whole idea of doing really ridiculous things from the graveyard. If space-time anomaly is okay, if it's all right to have space-time anomaly, and it's not too hard to get your mitts on the thing because it's rare as well, you know. I'm not saying that everyone can get it within 2 weeks of release, but it's from Edge of Eternities. How old's that now? 6-8 months? It's quite old now, Edge of Eternities. Yeah, I feel like we should have some more cards that do what Space-Time Anomaly does. Anyway, doesn't matter, because that's what we have. So we can fill up our graveyard full of cards, and then just put all the enchantments into play. Then your creatures get +X/+X, where X is the number of enchantment cards you control, including their reinforcements. So I can tell you that when I play Space-Time Anomaly, followed by Raise the Past, in a Minotaur who's got 129 life, I usually get about 18 creatures into play. I put 3 creatures into that deck. I play Raise the Past that puts all of them into play after I've played a Space-Time Anomaly. Usually end up with 6 copies of each of them. That's assuming I haven't been hit in the face first, and that's reduced my life a little bit. So if you're playing 3 enchantments, you can expect that ability to give you +8/+8. +8/+8? +18/+18. 3 lots of 6. 18. That's how my brain's going with the maths, but it all depends, you know, what planeswalker you're using and the like. Really, the thing that kills this card for me is the fact you have to attack with your second creature, you know. So I'm not particularly interested in myself, but that's an undeniably powerful effect. And I think the Timmies might enjoy it, you know, because let's face it, in most of the games you play, you can just assume that you're going to be winning by loads. If you want to do splashy things while you're winning by loads already, go right ahead. Gorma the Gullet, this is a pest frog, apparently. Are those eyes? Do you see what I mean? He's got little eyes, hasn't he? He's got little weird eyes over his nose, right? But then he's got big bulbous eyes as well. Are those eyes as well? Or are they big fake? What? They're nostrils. No, I think those are eyes. I think the ones just over his mouth are eyes. I think the big bulbous eyes, I think they're like fake eyes, like some birds have. Yes, like some butterflies have, exactly. That's my theory anyway. Anyway, he looks gross. When another creature you control dies, this creature gets +4/+4. Okay, it's an 8/8/1/1 lifelinker. When a non-token creature not named Gorma the Gullet enters the battlefield, that creature gets +X/+X. X is equal to this creature's power. I mean, I don't really like... I suppose what I'm thinking about with this card, I'm thinking about the fact that I could be mastering it in Planar Chaos with Space-Time Anomaly. Space-Time Anomaly again, you know. It's an absolutely peerless card, you know. But it's not that good on its own, is it? Because the thing is, you need something else to pump this up to make this interesting, don't you? If you only have one of these, and then another creature comes into play, that creature gets +1/+1. Oh, I think it's pumping up the way it's written, it's pumping up your opponent's creatures as well, isn't it? When a non-token creature not named Gorma the Gullet enters the battlefield, that creature gets +X/+X. X is equal to this creature's power. So if I've got a Gorm of the Gullet, a 1/1 lifelinker, and you play a creature, I think your creature gets +1/+1. I mean, that seems bad, doesn't it? I mean, not that bad. Obviously, +1/+1 is garbage. So, yeah, needs to be bigger, doesn't it? So you need something else to make this bigger. No, don't like it. Immoral Bargain. This seems quite good. What's going on here? Big dragony effect type thing. Destroy all creatures. Full stop. Yeah, not a problem with that. 13 mana. Then it's going to do some more. We like this. Destroy all creatures, then destroy X opposing non-land card. This is starting to get very interesting, isn't it? So we've got a mirrored two-sided creature destruction effect, which, you know, we would prefer a one-sided creature destruction effect. But, you know, unlike something like Deem Inferior, this has got some support removal thrown in. So it's going to destroy all creatures. And then when it says X opposing non-land cards, it's talking basically about supports, isn't it? I suppose there might be edge cases where there are creatures that got destroyed that had shield counters, and they might get destroyed again by the then clause. But it's talking about supports, but not lands. That's a bit of a shame, isn't it? X is a number of creatures you controlled destroyed this way, including their reinforcements. I mean, that's a pretty powerful card. I think the main thing I don't like about this is it just destroys things. When you're up against Grist, I'm very mindful of this myself. When you're up against Grist, if you destroy things that Grist has, even with really powerful cards like Chaos Warp, that destroy all of his creatures in one go, her creatures, I'm sorry, Grist, then Grist just starts bringing them back again. The wonderful thing about Deem Inferior, and indeed Merciless Eviction is another card that I like. I've got both Deem and Merciless Eviction in my current Coalition deck. And then also maybe creature removal spells like the Meetup Massacre 2. Yeah? Is that they get rid of your opponent's side of the board, their creatures, but they don't put all those creatures into the graveyard, so Grist can't take advantage of it. I mean, there's only particularly relevant against Grist. But, yeah, I think that is probably going to be the thing that that kills the card for me, is that it's destroying things and putting them into the graveyard. And that's not good enough against Grist. But this is a decent enough card, not a chase card. Stensian Sanguinist. Exsanguinate. We've definitely had this before. What does this do? This was too expensive. I remember, didn't this cost like 18 mana or something ridiculous? Create 4 vampire tokens. Your opponent loses X life and you gain X life. X is 5 plus a number of vampire cards you control. Okay, so when it casts this card, it is a vampire itself. When you cast this Exsanguinate card, whenever that happens, we're going to get 4 vampire tokens. Those are 1/1 lifelinkers. And then we're also going to do a drain life for, well, 10, isn't it? Because 4 tokens, 1 Stensian Sanguinist, plus 5. So what have we got? At the beginning of combat on your turn, your first creature gains Death Touch. Okay, I mean, that's slightly better than, very slightly better than just having Death Touch itself, but still largely irrelevant. When a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to your opponent's Planeswalker, this creature becomes prepared. Okay, so I see the problem here, really. I mean, there's quite a bit of power coming out of this thing. If you play this card, or even better, if you have another creature in play and you play this card, that's going to be better, isn't it? Because then that creature's going to attack with Death Touch and this is going to trigger. Yeah? So slightly slower is just playing this as your first creature, and then you get a 2/2 that sits there for a turn. And then the next turn you go in, you hit with Death Touch, you produce 4 1/1 lifelinkers, and you do some drain life. And that's okay. The big problem with this card is, what if it runs into a wall? You know? It's going to die. It's not going to produce all of that value. It's just going to die. And like, you may say, well, it's got Death Touch, so it's going to kill that creature that's a wall. Well, unfortunately, the best creatures that are walls that people play with aren't going to die. Sabsunan's not going to die when this hits it with Death Touch. Vraska's not going to die when this hits it with Death Touch. So, yeah, if you can play this and then it just hits your opponent because they hasn't got anything in the way, then that's kind of fine. And that might have been quite good for, like, say, an event where you needed to produce a lot of vampire tokens. If you were summoning vampires and not casting vampires, that might have been quite good. But the fact that if this gets blocked by a Sabsunan, it dies before even generating any vampire tokens, that is a major problem. High shit tier? I mean, definitely high shit tier. I should probably move it up to mid, but no, high shit tier. Decorum Dissertation. Paradigm. So here we go. Here's the first of our Paradigm cards. Target player draws 2 cards. Then your opponent's Planeswalker loses 6 life and you gain 6 life. Now, I have a funny feeling, knowing Webcore as I do, that Greg's probably going to target you with this spell. So you probably don't have anything to worry about from this one. I mean, it's not especially powerful. You don't really like the fact that the nightmare scenario, in inverted commas. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing the inverted commas thing again. It's just that Greg plays it and then, you know, he's drawing 3 cards every turn. And then he just never runs out of gas. Because sometimes if Greg, you know, gets a real advantage, starts to get ahead of you, the way you often pull it back is that he runs out of gas. He just runs out of cards and ways to draw cards. And that can happen to Grist. It's kind of unlikely with Grist because not only is Grist generating that value of pulling things out the graveyard, she's also generating the value of the corrupt gems, just casting things out of the graveyard. It's kind of unlikely that Grist runs out of gas. But, you know, drawing 3 cards instead of 1 card in an unstoppable way, let's not forget. It's very difficult to stop Paradigm. We don't really know if we can. That kind of sounds a bit dangerous, doesn't it? That Greg just might not run out of gas as a result of this card. Like the losing 6 life and you gaining 6 life, I mean, that's, you know, doesn't sound like a lot. It might add up to a fair bit, though. You know, I'm sure we're all aware of what it's like sometimes to be playing a slightly lower power Planeswalker against, say, Dakon, and Dakon just chipping away at you with his first ability. And that 6 life swing is not, you know, it's only a little less than Dakon's doing. And of course, Dakon can play with this card as well. So it doesn't seem like such a terrible card, but I do kind of think that there's a good chance that Webcore won't have tested this and that Greg will use it to make you draw 2 extra cards a turn. So I probably would say don't worry too much about this one because he's probably going to... I mean, the life loss thing is still going to work, right? If Greg casts this card, he's still going to drain 6 life of you and gain 6 lives. So there's still something you need to worry about a little bit. But he's probably going to make you draw cards rather than him drawing cards. So I could be wrong, but that's my feeling. Yeah, not the most powerful card. We'll get onto these. But you get kind of the feeling of what Paradigm's doing from this. This is more of a problem. Here we go. Echo Casting Symposium. There's a foil version of this you can buy for cash, and they know what they were doing with this. So Paradigm, create a copy of target non-token creature you control in your hand. That card gains full mana. So it's written a little bit funny, But it's copying. I've seen a video that Goz has been playing with this, with his Blue Emeritus, and having a lot of fun with it. But it's copying a creature you have in play and putting that copy into your hand and making it gain full mana. So that's pretty powerful. Yeah, so it's an insta-mana filler giver, in effect. Because when you cast a spell, it triggers straight away, yeah? It's not just like, the one difference between this and a support that did this every turn would be that generally a support, like Assemble the Players, for example. Assemble the Players doesn't do anything until the start of your next turn. But this does the effect straight away when you cast it, and then at the start of each of your subsequent turns. So it's instantly producing that value and putting full mana in it, and then it's also doing it in each of your subsequent turns. That seems pretty goddamn powerful to me, doesn't it? It's not ultimately powerful. Really, if you're like me, you never want Greg to have any creatures in play at all, and you work quite hard to make sure that he doesn't have cards in play. So if Greg's playing this card against you, even though you can't get rid of this card because it's a Paradigm card, it gains the Knowledge Emblem, it casts every turn. As long as you can kill all of his creatures, you can keep this card under control. How easy that will be to do with a super powerful card like this, if he's playing a lot of other super powerful cards as well, it remains to be seen. I mean, I'm fairly hopeful that I can keep an opposing Greg that's cast this card against me under control. I'm still really not having any problem with my current Coalition deck. I'm not really having problems against anybody except Grist, and of course Grist can't play with this thing, so thank the Lord for that. But yeah, this is very powerful, and hopefully it can be kept under control when Greg plays it. What about when we play it, Steve? We were interested in that. Well, I mean, it is an insta-mana filler giver. It is a card that you could put in the old Loop Hero deck. The Loop Hero deck doesn't necessarily need it. It already has plenty of cards that just say, well, copy this card when it's in play. Let's have a quick look at my old Loop Hero. Well, I say old. My current Loop Hero deck. Let's go off to the normal service will be resumed as soon as... Where's S in the alphabet? There it is, Sarkhan. So here's Loop Hero currently. And you will remember that the point of this deck basically is that every card plays the next card. So the Quantum Riddler, you put it into play, grabs a card, fills it full of mana, and that might get a Gearhulk. And that grabs a card, fills it full of mana if it's not a Gearhulk, and that might get you a Heat Shimmer, and that grabs a card and fills it full of mana. That's the basic idea of the deck. You just need 10 cards that basically do that. And this isn't perfect because we've got Tempt with Discovery here, for example, which doesn't quite necessarily grab another card and fill it full of mana. That is one of the ways that this particular version of the deck will whiff, is that maybe your Tempt with Discovery will whiff. It won't quite generate enough mana to cast the next card. And that will stop your turn going on in its tracks. But everything else should keep going. Now what you'll notice about most of these cards here is that they cost less than 18 mana. That blue Paradigm card costs 18 mana, so we don't necessarily want to swap out any of these cards like Universal Surveillance or Will of the Timur for a card that basically does the same thing but costs a little bit more. The other thing about it is that it relies on having a creature in play. Much like Self-Reflection. In fact, yeah, Self-Reflection is basically the non-Paradigm version of the card, you know. But in order to get your loop going, you do need to play some creatures. Now, if you play the version of this deck that I have with Guff, it suffers a little bit from the fact that it can't play with Genesis Wave, for example, because in order to start off your loop with that version of the deck, you need to get one of the creatures. You need to get the Phenomenon Investigators, or the Quantum Riddler, or the Bright Glass Gearhulk. There are more creatures as well. There's a Diluvium Primordial is another one. But if you have a handful of Will of the Timor and Universal Surveillance, you can't start your loop because you don't have anything to copy. And that is the same as with the Paradigm card, you know. This is why, as I say, yeah, this is why the Sarkhan version is better than the Guff version. Because you get to play with another round in Guff. That's nice, isn't it? But you've just got one less card that can start the loop on its own. Genesis Wave can start the loop on its own without another creature in play. Whereas Will of the Timor, or indeed this new Paradigm card, they need a creature in play to start off with. So, yeah, I'm left wondering, do we really need this super powerful card? Where am I going to? I'm going to the shop. We're heading back down to the thing. Because it doesn't really earn a spot, powerful though it is, doesn't really earn the spot in the combo deck that we have, the Loop Hero deck, that just wins straight away. And of course, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking for the Elite Pack. Of course, the same thing happens to you as I'm telling you to keep Greg under control with, is that if you cast a card, if Greg manages to kill all of your creatures, again, your Paradigm card, which is called Echo Casting Symposium, has nothing to copy. But I think we've waffled on about this card a lot. It should be fairly obvious that this is a very, very powerful card. I chased it straight away. I made sure I got it out of the booster straight away, just in case they'd done something. In case somebody sitting behind a desk at Webcore went, hang on, we've put too many Paradigm cards all in this one booster. Because I thought they might have done. It did seem weird to me that they put so many in one booster. So I went straight after the blue one and the white one. And I think it's well worth going after. It's a very powerful card. Even if it doesn't necessarily earn itself a spot in Loop Hero. Let's move on to Emeritus of Conflict, which we've seen already. It's a 12 mana 2/2 that sometimes deals 3 damage to a target. That doesn't seem powerful enough to me. High shit tier, I think. But doesn't seem powerful enough to me. Again, it's got kind of that problem, hasn't it, that I was talking about earlier, you know, is that I used to really like relying on cheap cards that I could cast a lot of, like Endless Detour. And now I'm more into more expensive cards, like Golden Wish. But then again, you know, Golden Wish does cast multiple spells. I've got a lot of the expensive cards that I play with at the moment will immediately cast a second spell. But then you say to yourself, well, if you've just cast a Golden Wish, why do you care about dealing 3 damage to something? To which I say, that's a very good point. What have we got here with the Emeritus of Truce? We've got a 3/3 lifelinker for 13 that casts Swords to Plowshares. That sounds okay, doesn't it? In the abstract, 13 mana, 3/3 lifelinker that can kill creatures. I mean, it's a little small at 3/3, a little expensive at 13, but a lifelinker that kills creatures in the abstract sounds quite good, doesn't it? But then we start to see the limitations. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent creates a Silver Quill Inkling token. That's not really a problem. And in fact, this has just occurred to me, giving your opponent a creature there's a real premium on that. There are a lot of events still where you need to destroy your opponent's creatures. One of the objectives will be to destroy your opponent's creatures. And we've typically, all throughout history, we've done this with Turn to Frog. I think probably the most common card that people are using is Stroke of Midnight to get around that objective at the moment. I was using Hunted Bone Brute for a while because I didn't want to be fetching Stroke of Midnight with my pre-nerf mystical teachings, but even I'm onto Stroke of Midnight now. But this is another way to give your opponent a creature for those objectives, and that in itself might be a good reason to play with this card, specifically for those objectives. At the end of your turn, if you control less creatures than your opponent, now this is really the problem, I think, isn't it? If you control less creatures than your opponent, this creature's become prepared, and that means you get to cast Swords to Plowshares. That means you exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to that creature's power. I mean, one of the things that's good about Swords to Plowshares is it's so cheap. Even in our game, it's 4 mana, isn't it? It's a very, very cheap removal spell. But the fact that this creature's casting it kind of gets rid of that. It no longer has its own casting cost. It's just an effect that the card has. So we've lost that positive effect. So if I play this card, I'm playing this as my only creature. It's a 3/3. It gives Greg a creature. It's a 1/1. And obviously it doesn't do anything straight away, but we wouldn't want it to do anything straight away because we don't really care about killing his Silver Quill Inkling. Indeed, if we are playing this card for the killing creatures objective, we wouldn't want to exile this card because that does not trigger the killing creatures objective. So we're doing nothing. We've got a 3/3 with lifelink. He's got a 1/1. But then as soon as he plays a creature, then we attack. I mean, that's before even his creatures have the chance to attack, isn't it? If we've played this first, and then he plays a creature, that will then become his second creature. He won't get the chance to attack. He'll come into play and do anything that might be associated with that, obviously. That might be really bad. But then at the end of my turn, when it goes back to my turn, I'll be able to exile his creature. And then it will go back to stasis again, the equilibrium again, where we've got one creature, he's got one creature. So, I don't know, I guess it's okay. But I still think, yeah, the only real use for it is going to be, in this day and age of just sweeping the board with Deems Inferior and localized destructions and Chaos's Warps. Even a creature that kills one creature a turn doesn't necessarily do a particularly great job of it. Just not very exciting. So I think those objectives is going to be the use for that. Watch out for it for those events, I think. It might start to show up in those events. And of course, he is exiling your stuff, so this card is. So might be a bit more difficult than normal to get it back again. Interesting. Field of Strife. Why does this card not cost 7 mana? I think I'm building up to a forum post about this. I'm not quite sure yet. Don't write a lot of forum posts. Certainly don't write a lot of big, long, involved ones. Now, I have this outlet for rambling myself over the YouTubes. But why does it not cost 7 mana, right? Because it's obviously too expensive, isn't it? I mean, it is not strictly better than the clue lands, is it? It's not strictly better than the 7 mana lands that convert 4 gems in the same way that this does, and also investigate. Because investigating, which draws you a card and then creates a clue token which turns into a card, and surveilling, they're not directly comparable. You can't say surveilling is worse than that, because surveilling is a way of dropping things into your graveyard, which simply drawing a card doesn't do. I mean, I would definitely say that investigating is more powerful. Just the fact that with those clue lands, you draw the card, you play the card, and then the clue token eventually pops and you draw a card to replace it. That's extremely powerful for a land, We don't have a lot of cantrip lands in the game, and that's one of the reasons they are so powerful, those Murders of Karloff mana lands. So I would say that, personally I think that, investigating is better than surveilling, but I don't think you can say that it's inherently always strictly better in the strictly better sense. But the fact that you then bump this up to 11 mana, that's the thing that kills it, and that's the thing that makes you go, well, I'm just going to go and play with the Murders of Karloff mana lands then. Thank you very much. What else have we got? We've got the colour identity lands recently. Even at 8 mana, even if you play them off colour, those colour identity lands like Mystic Gate and Twilight Mire and those things, that's still producing more mana on average than these things are. And if you play them on colour, those lands, they're producing 15 mana. So we have lands already that we're chasing. So why are these ones so much worse? Because everyone's just going to go, well, no, we're not going to chase these lands. We're going to, you know, I've got those other lands, so I'm not going to be chasing these lands here because those ones are better. And anyone who hasn't got those other lands, they're going to be chasing those lands, you know. Now, they might not necessarily be chasing the Murders of Karloff mana ones because they know those cards are going to rotate out at the end of the year in Standard. But that's not true of the colour identity lands. So nobody's going to, whether you own those other good lands or which of the good lands that you have in the past or not, whether you own them or not, or whichever of them, you're still not going to be chasing these lands. Nobody's going to be chasing these lands. Where if this costs 7, it is possible that I might be building a deck and I might go, well, do you know what? Even though this is a little bit less powerful than those other lands, it does the surveil thing that those other lands don't do. So I'm going to put it in the deck because there's a little bit of synergy. But I'm never going to do that with these lands at 11 mana. And I don't understand why they've made them 11 mana. I mean, I've a feeling, I've got a little theory that the reason they do it is that they think to themselves, well, we want to make people chase cards. And we can't have, if we make all cards of a comparable power level, then as soon as somebody gets one card, they'll stop chasing the other card. So what we have to do is we have to make like one chase card every year, and then every other card has to be shit so that people chase that one chase card. And I feel that's a fallacious line of thinking. I don't know if that is their line of thinking, but I feel like it's a fallacious line of thinking. Because like I say, if this was 7 mana, I can definitely see myself going, well, I need to surveil actually in this deck. I want to put something in this deck that drops things into the graveyard. I think I'll play with these other quite powerful lands that cost 7 mana. But I'm never going to do that at 11 mana. What a shame. Germination Practicum. Okay, so now we've had the chance to look at 2 other paradigm cards. We can really see how much this one sucks, can't we? So it gives all your creatures +2/+2, and then at the start of every turn, gives all your creatures +2/+2. I mean, there's just nothing scary about this card at all. If Greg plays this, I mean, it's a slight problem that you can't get rid of it, but is it really? No, it's not really at all. Just not very good. Surprisingly not very good, really, considering how good some of the other paradigm cards is. On that note, here's the white one. So this is the second one that I've chased. I've not chased the black one. I just don't think it really has the goods. But this one really does seem like it's really good. Return the first non-land creature or support card from your graveyard to the battlefield under your control for 20 mana. So remember again, it does it immediately when you cast it, and then it's going to do it every turn from then on. And that's just got to be good, hasn't it? I mean, you do actually have to have something in your graveyard. And that's personally how I'm going to get round this. If Greg ends up casting this, and I have no way of stopping him casting it every turn, I'll be reduced to making sure he's got nothing in the graveyard. And luckily, I'm already playing with Merciless Eviction in my Coalition deck, which does exile graveyards. It exiles all creatures and all supports that aren't vanguards, doesn't get rid of vanguards, but it also exiles graveyards, and that's what I'm going to be relying on to get around this card if Greg happens to play this card. Is that good enough? I mean, I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I mean, yeah, I'm also playing within that deck. My removal suite in that deck is Merciless Eviction, which exiles creatures and exiles graveyards. There's Deem Inferior, which gets rid of creatures without putting them into the graveyard. There's a Minotoo's second ability, which is exiling things and not putting them into the graveyard. So I've got a decent amount of ways of Greg not having things in the graveyard. I still feel a little bit scared of this card. This seemed like the best one to me. I mean, there's probably more raw power in the blue one, but it assumes that Greg's just not killing your creatures. And that's just not an assumption that I'm prepared to make. Again, I'm not too sure how I'm going to drop this into a deck. It doesn't seem to naturally just drop into any of the decks that I'm playing at the moment. I like to play a lot of lands at the moment. I'm particularly fond of Swarmyard and Demolition Field, you know. And I'm often playing more lands than that. Say my Coalition deck at the moment, I've got the black-white Clue land, because 7 mana for converting 4, pretty good. 7 mana for converting 4, pretty good. So I have actually got quite, and there's 3 spells in that deck as well. There's some very good creatures that I wouldn't mind getting back from the graveyard if they die. But I'm not necessarily sure, given that I'm largely all in on lands, that I'm getting particularly great value. I can't drop that card into that deck, but this does seem like the one to me. So I chased this one, I chased the blue one, and it's more about personal preference. It's more about, I think I'm more likely to want this card that is going to be more useful to me when Greg kills my stuff, and I can see why other people will prefer playing the blue one, where you just assume that Greg probably won't. Just assume that everything will be fine, and you can just do sillier things with that. So there's probably a bit more raw power in the blue one, but this is the one that I like. Chase it, yeah, it's good. Too good? We don't know yet. We will see. Oh, and okay, the last card from the Elite Pack is just another one of these that really should be 7 mana. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of these as we go along. Does anyone know if there's 5 of these or 10 of these? Are there 5? I suppose there's probably 5, aren't there? Because the point about Strixhaven is there's 5 houses in opposite colours. So we'll probably only be getting the 5 opposite colour lands and not the... Yeah, this is red-white. Not the 5 friendly coloured ones as well. So I think we'll call it a night for tonight, to be perfectly honest. I know we haven't actually started the actual cards, but we spent a long time going through all of the mechanics and things, looking at the new rubbish planeswalkers that you should not get. And I got to the end of this pack, which, like I say, I think this pack's worth digging into, and I did without even looking at what the other 3 elite packs in the set are. I thought, well, I'm just going to snap up the blue and the white paradigm cards. Who knows, maybe the black one will even be alright. Maybe? I don't know. Well, maybe. Just in this day and age, just drawing cards we don't like, do we? We like drawing cards and putting mana into them. Just drawing cards seems a bit dull, doesn't it? So, yeah, we'll call it a night there, and when we do part 2, we will start right from the beginning of the set. There may even be a new elite pack by the time I get to do part 2. What day is it today? It is Thursday today, thank you. So, I suppose I might do it tomorrow. It seems unlikely, doesn't it? Or at the weekend. You might have to wait till the start of next week. I really don't know. I got to tell you that it's unlikely that I'm going to get through the entire set review before I have to go away to Poland. Yes, I have to go away to Poland. Alv's getting married. Who'd do that, honestly? So I have to go to a bloody wedding. What's that? Hello, Alv. Do anyone remember Alv? No, of course not. She used to play the game a lot. And in fact, that's where we met. Because she used to play the game a lot. But she doesn't anymore. And now I have to go to a bloody wedding. Never mind. And that is in a couple of weeks. So yeah, so there's probably unfortunately going to be a bit of a gap in the set review. And given that there's probably going to get a new set in 6 weeks, it's probably going to be a bit tight, isn't it? To get all of the set review done before the next bloody set comes out. But that is the way things are going with this game at the moment. Just an awful lot of cards coming out and getting quite difficult to keep up with that. But thank you everybody for being in. If anyone else was in, I'm not sure that I looked at the chat even once tonight. Sarah often, what she likes to do, she will wave a post-it note at me to tell me if somebody new's come in. And given that she didn't do that, I'm going to assume nobody important like the Hunter or Goz or anybody came in to say hello to me. But hello in the future if you're there. And enjoy, and I'll see you for part 2. Okay? Bye-bye.